think that you could easily make that case that, like, no matter what, it makes sense to have some. First of all, because even when there are bear markets, Bitcoin shows us time and time again that it will eventually recover. Like, even when it seems like it won't, it still eventually recovers. And so, as long as you can weather that storm. But the other reason is because, again, as I said earlier, right? I mean, all models are wrong, some are useful. And, I don't want to be the schmuck that has no Bitcoin because my model told me to sell all of it. So I would say, I do sell some each cycle when it goes into the higher risk bands because we're usually only there for a few days in the cycle. And it's basically when we reach the point where everyone's like, I can't possibly imagine it ever going down again. Um,
Mhm.
and that's normally where you want to take some profits. And by the way, the reason this some of the reasons to take profits on Bitcoin is to, and I know this is sacrilege to suggest as the Bitcoin dominance guy, right? But the reason is because in the post halving year, normally the altcoins outperform Bitcoin. So
Right.
I mean, if you follow the sort of the Bitcoin only strategy or Bitcoin heavy strategy until dominance tops out, then at some point you basically have to use, if you want altcoins, unless you're going to go buy it with US dollars, but if you just stayed Bitcoin heavy, you have to, you have to use your Bitcoin to buy those alts if you want to get them. The point, I mean, the whole strategy behind, you don't have to, right? You can always use US dollars, but the whole strategy behind Bitcoin dominance is just stay Bitcoin only essentially until dominance tops out, which is not normally till the early part of the post halving year. And then you use the Bitcoin to then buy the altcoins, right? Instead of dollar cost averaging, I guess it's called Bitcoin cost averaging, right? Where uh you use Bitcoin to get into uh some of those altcoins. But I mean, again, like I even in those scenarios, I still think it makes sense to stay majority Bitcoin in your portfolio at all times. I mean, I've been 99% Bitcoin for the last 3 years, and only recently, like very very recently, I started to hedge with ETH. So now I do have a small percentage of Ethereum now, but I mean, even then, I mean, ETH Bitcoin was putting in new lows yesterday, right? I mean, it was at what, like it hit 0.031 yesterday. So, I mean, it just goes to show you that over the last 3.5 years, there was really never a great time to trade your Bitcoin for ETH, right? Because ETH Bitcoin just kept on going lower.